Hey Bookish Babes, and welcome to the 12 Days of Vlogmas, Day 3. For those that are new around here, my name's Rainy. I teach music and I also love to read all sorts of books, mainly thriller and horror, but I read a lot of other genres, fantasy, horror, nonfiction, sci-fi, all the things. So please make sure to like and subscribe to this channel as it really helps my channel grow. As I mentioned previously, it is Vlogmas Day 3 out of 12 for the 12 Days of Vlogmas, with this entire series wrapping up on Christmas Eve. And in today's video, we are going to be talking all about my reading goals for 2023 and how my reading goals did or did not go for 2022. So I figured we'd start off by looking at my 2022 goals and seeing what I accomplished, what I didn't, whether some of these goals actually I wanted to stick through to fruition, because sometimes you end up realizing that a goal is not really a goal that you wanted to have set in the first place. And then we'll talk about what my goals for 2023 are going to be and see how hopefully I can do a little bit better than this time around. But with that being said, let's dive into how my 2022 reading goals went. So these goals are in no semblance of order. I think I kind of did it in the order that the video that I originally posted was about, which I will link that video under here if you happen to want to look at last year's video. But my first one was to read 100 books. And I actually did that. I, at this current moment, have read 107 books. So I surpassed my reading goal, even with a huge reading slump that I started to develop in about October and September, where I hardly read any books. And I'm very proud of myself considering I only read 32 books in the year prior, so I've more than tripled that, and I'm very happy with the results. And for my YouTube channel, I had wanted to hit 1,000 subscribers. I'm nowhere near that. I'm at 335 at the moment. However, I have not been consistent, and I was still trying to figure out what I wanted this channel to be, and I got pregnant, and the reading slump, hit me hard, and the video, content showing up slump hit me hard. But I'm still proud of myself, because I have 335 people that are wanting to follow me. And I have all these plans for next year of how I'm planning on growing my channel by doing reading sprints and readathons and buddy reads and book clubs and all these types of cool videos. I have plans. So I'm not too worried about that. 1,000 would have been nice, but there's nothing to sneeze at for 335. I love every single one of you that watches my videos or just supports me. Another reading goal that I had was to read more nonfiction. Specifically, I wanted to read 6 nonfiction books, giving myself about 1 every 2 months to read, and I could not have gone further away from that. I read 1, and that was Know My Name by Chanel Miller. Is this still a goal that I want to hit? Yes. Am I going to set this as a goal for next year? No. Because, yes, I want to read more nonfiction, but I don't think I liked the idea of having to find a place for a nonfiction on my TBR. If I want to read a nonfiction, I will. I already know I'm going to be reading Jeanette McCurdy's memoir soon. I'm going to be reading Viola Davis's. I'm going to be reading Jonathan Van Ness. And I plan on having a nonfiction, memoir video in the near future where I read some people that I am very inspired by their memoirs and stuff, because that actually intrigues me. Or Crying in H Mart by Michelle Ziner. So I'm very excited to do that sort of stuff. But I don't want to force myself to have to read nonfiction just to say that I read nonfiction. So that's how that goal went. Another goal that I had was to not buy that many books and to highly prioritize the books that I have. And all I say to that is, yeah, right. I will say last year, I did not have a lot of books. I have a lot of books now, as you can see. That's not even all of them. But I have a lot of books now, and I'm very glad that I spent last year building up my library, because now I can slow down and slow my roll and also utilize the public library, which I have been doing, don't you worry. But yeah, so I probably won't set that as a goal ever again, because I just know myself. I know my buying habits, for books, but that's okay. Another reading goal that I had was to listen to more audiobooks, and I 100% did that. In fact, I've gotten to the point now where if I can't get the audiobook for a book, I don't really want to read the book, and I'm lazy. And I'm you got by for so many years not even diving into the land of audiobooks. You only read physically, and now that I've seen the other side and I've seen the greener pastures, I'm just how can you go back to not listening or to not having an audiobook to read with you? That's why I haven't started the Thursday Murder Club, or what is the other one that I have to read for the Good Thriller blog? All Good People Here by Ashley Flowers, because I have a 10-week waiting hold on that. But I have to read that in the next 5 days. So I'm just going to have to suck it up, Buttercup, and read it physically. Yeah, I know. But anyway, I love audiobooks. I'm totally going to keep that, not even as a goal, because I know that I'm just going to keep doing that. But that was a goal that I hit very successfully. Another goal that I had set was to be more mindful of the books that I read, and by that I meant like choosing books that I want to read because I want to read them, not because I feel like I have to read them or things like that. And I would say I did a much better job at that, especially towards the end when I shifted my mood read or my game, my TBR friends themed game to like mood reading. I pick books because I want to read them. There's only a couple of times that I've picked it up because I'm like, oh, this is the book club book or things like that. And there's only been a couple of times where I haven't really wanted to read it. But then again, those books that I haven't really wanted to read didn't go very well. So like I kind of knew that was coming. So I'm still going to be very mindful with the books that I read and only read books that I genuinely want to enjoy. Another goal that I had was to actually DNF books. And I am getting better, but I'm not 100% there yet. I have DNF'd books this year. I've DNF'd about, I think, 6 or 7, which I never DNF'd books before. So I will give myself props for that. However, there are still books that I'm like, well, if it's going to be like 2.5 star, I mean, shouldn't I just DNF? Or even a 2 star, shouldn't I just DNF? But sometimes you just want to know how the bad book is going to end, you know? Like, you don't always want to know. But sometimes you do. Like Hide by Kirsten White. I had to know how that was going to pan out. That book is terrible. But I still had to know, you know? Another goal that I had was to read more fantasy and dark romance, and I can 100% say that did not happen. Would I still like to do that? Yes. Would I make that as a goal again? Maybe. But that didn't happen. I just didn't prioritize it. I was in my thriller and horror bag for basically the whole year. And I want to read fantasy. I keep picking up fantasy. And I want to read dark romance. I keep picking up dark romance. But I'm just not doing it. I'm just not. And my last goal that I set for 2022 was to get more specific on how I rate books. And I would say I went on that. I feel like my rating system is just, if I absolutely loved it and I had a blast reading it, it's a 5 star. If I had a good time with it or a great time with it, but there was just something missing or something that I didn't necessarily like or love or agree with, then it's either a 4 or a 4.5. If it was just middle of the road for me, it's a 3 star. If it was not very good, but I wouldn't find it offensive, it's a 2 star, and if it's offensive to me, it's a 1 star or even 0 stars. And I gave a lot of books 5 stars this year. So I don't know if my rating system is actually that, like, as shaped out as I want it to be, because were all of those books 5 stars? Not necessarily. And do I remember every single 5 star that I gave a 5 star to? Not even close. But you know what? I think that is why reading is so subjective. We're all going to have different opinions of like what's a 5 star, what's a 4 star, and things like that. And I think that is okay. So I'm okay with how I rate books for the moment. So now that we've talked about my 2022 goals and how they went versus how they didn't, and I think they did pretty good. I feel like I did middle of the road on my 2022 reading goals. Let's talk about the goals that I have set for myself for 2023. And some are the same or very similar, and some are completely new ones. So let's dive into my 2023 reading goals. The first reading goal that I have this year is to read 105 books. I figure I'm just going to bump up my reading goal to 5 extra books every year. I think that's easily doable. So I'm still going to go for 105 books. I think I can do it. I hope I can do it, and I don't get into another slump with pregnancy or with having a newborn, but we'll see. My second goal is going to be that I would like to finish 15 series this year. I am the queen of buying series and not finishing them. And I already know of a couple series that I'm going to read in the new year. Like I'm going to read the Raven Cycle series. I'm going to read the Ravenhood series by Kate Stewart. I'm going to read the Truly Devious series by Maureen Johnson. I plan on reading The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker. I'm just looking at my shelf to see if there's other series that I see at the moment. I want to read The Zodiac Academy. I want to read Daughter of the Moon Goddess. I want to finish Jade City. Like, there are a lot of series that I want to read. And I made a series, spreadsheet, and I probably have at least the beginnings to 40 different series. And so I'm planning on cutting down on series this year and really getting to them, because there's no point in having 4 or 5 books on your shelf that are just sitting there if it's a series and you've never read it and you might never read it, and they're just sitting there taking up valid space. So I'm going to really take some time to cut down on my series this year. I've had to cut out 6 different yawns during editing this because I didn't get any sleep the night before because my son was sick and was throwing up all night. And so I'm a lot more tired than I realized, hence why I'm yawning nonstop. So this is quite fun. Okay. Goal number 3 is to be very selective about book clubs and readathons that I participate in. I was trying to participate in too many book clubs this year. I was trying to do 6 at once, and I already had my 6 TBR for my Friends Theme Challenge, and it's just my average reading, books that I read in a month is anywhere from 10 to 12, and I was always pushing it. I was always giving myself 18 to 20 book TBRs, and I knew that was never going to happen. And then as for readathons, I was always trying to do too many, especially in October when I tried to tackle 4, and I didn't actually finish finish any except for one. So I am going to be very selective. I only plan on participating in, well, 4 book clubs, but I think that's easily manageable, honestly. I have my local book club. I'm not going to stop doing that. I have Haley Hughes book club. I love all of the selections that she always picks. I have Gabby from Gabby Reads, and I have Kayla from Books and Lala. And then I have my own. Oh, I lied. I have my own, the Besties book club. But that one is bi-monthly, so that one's not as bad. And I don't know. So, you know, the book clubs, I guess I'm not going down on the book clubs. However, Kayla and Gabby's are always books that I want to read anyway. Like, they're always, like, new and upcoming thrillers. So I don't really view those as, like, book clubs because I always end up reading that book anyway. I just happen to read it in the month that they're reading it in. But readathons I'm going to be very selective in. I'm only going to try and participate in 1 a month, if I even participate in 1 every single month. Because I can't do 4. I can't even do 2. That's just too crazy, you know? My 4th reading goal for 2023 is to read more books from people of color. This year, I think I only read probably a total of about 15 out of the 107 books from people of color. And that's not even a little bit okay. I'm not going to set a goal of like a number of how many I want to hit. I'm just going to say that I want to be hitting more. And when I'm making my TBRs, I want to make sure that I'm actually prioritizing that and that I am making sure that I have people of color on every single TBR, because there were months where I had nobody, or I had like 1 out of like 15 books. And I just don't think that's acceptable. I know there are so many amazing books from people of color out there, and I have got to be open to doing the work to make sure that I am having a more diverse reading list. My 5th goal is to have 800 subscribers on YouTube this year. I think that's easily doable. It's basically just doubling it. And since I'm going to have consistent content and I've already mapped out what I'm going to be filming and all of these different things, I think it's totally going to be possible. I have lots of great ideas in the work for next year. So if you have friends that want to follow me, make sure they follow along on this journey. But I think 800 is manageable, and I'm very excited to see where we can get to at the end of 2023 with this channel. Goal number 6 is to keep up with my reading reviews for books and actually also update my reading goal journal. I had a reading journal and I have not kept up to date with it at all. In fact, actually, I don't have any more room for books because it only holds up to 100 books. So there you go. But I want to actually keep up with my reviews on Goodreads and Storygraph because I have a lot of books that have ratings, but they don't have reviews. And I want to be getting better at actually doing my reviews on Instagram as well. I feel like that shouldn't be that hard. I just need to commit to a day to actually filming pictures, or not filming, taking pictures of like different books for like different reviews so I can post on my Instagram and like give people reviews, because like that's why I made the Bookstagram, so I could like give out reviews and stuff, and I'm not doing that. So a personal goal that I have is to actually keep up with my reviews for all the books that I read. And with that goal being said, my sub goal for that is to post on Instagram at least 3 times a week. Obviously, like, I want to grow on Instagram, but that's not the end of the world. However, I made that Bookstagram so that I could connect with other booktubers and Bookstagrammers and share my love and passion for books. And that includes book reviews. And so I figure if I'm posting 3 times a week, then I'm going to be able to do that, and I can post all different sorts of stuff. And so I just want to make myself accountable, and I think that's easily doable. My 8th reading goal for the year is to drastically reduce my physical TBR. It is overwhelming. I think it's like 500 books at this point. And I know you're probably like, what in the heck? So I highly am going to try to prioritize the books that I actually have and only read books from outside if I absolutely have to. I would say I'm going to try to go the entire year without adding any books, but I already know I'm going to be reading Grady Hendrix's newest book, Riley Sager's newest book, Mary Kubica. There's a couple of people that have books coming out next year, and I'm like, yeah, I obviously am going to be reading your book, so I'm going to have to be buying it. And I've made myself aware of that, like the new Finlay Donovan, like, there's no way I'm not skipping those books. But I do want to highly prioritize the books that I'm reading outside of that, because life's too short to have books on your shelf that you never read. My last reading goal for 2023 is to finish all of Jodi Picoult's, or Picoult. I think it's Picoult, but I always say Picoult. I'll say Pico, of Jodi Picoult's books, so that I can do a ranking video. I want to start doing author ranking videos, and I wanted to start with Jodi Picoult because she's my favorite author of all time. And at this current moment, I only have 4 books that I haven't read from her. 2 of them are her newest ones, the one about COVID, and then Mad Honey. And then 2, it's basically all of her newest ones. Like the last 3 or 4 that she has written, I have not gotten to. But I've read all the other ones from that. Like, I'm definitely going to refresh and like see, like, remember what happened in each one so that I can actually like rank them accurately. Because little old Rainy didn't always actually rate her books on Goodreads back in like high school and college. I don't know what I was doing with my life, but that's when I had a huge Jodi Picoult reading like spiral. So anyway, I would love to finish all of her books so that I can actually do a ranking video because she has a lot of books. Like, she has like 30 books. And I just want to be able to say that I've read them all and can recommend which ones are my favorite. Although my favorite of hers is her first book she ever wrote, and everybody hates it. And it's The Songs of the Humpback Whale. And that book is fabulous. Yeah, people don't like it, but I love it. You know, you gotta love where you started from, right? It can only go up from there. And those are my 2023 reading goals. I'm not trying to set specific, like, I'm going to read more of this genre. I'm going to read this many of this genre. Like, I want to keep them not vague, but, like, persistent enough that I know that I could hit them. Because I don't think there's anything worse than, I don't know, just, like, setting those goals and then just getting frustrated at yourself for not hitting a specific number or things like that. Like, if I end up reading fantasy, great. That's always going to be a goal in the back of my head. If I end up reading dark romance, great. If I end up reading some nonfiction books, great. But I'm not going to limit myself to those sorts of things. So I hope this video is helpful for you. If you are planning on making some 2023 reading goals, I would love to hear what your #1 goal is in the comments down below. Let's see if we have any similar goals. You can also comment that down below. And with that, I will see you in day 4 of Vlogmas, or the 12 days of Vlogmas tomorrow, where we are going to be talking about 23 books for 2023. Will I get to all of these? That remains to be seen, but we'll see. So with that, I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye!